I was sitting in the glass conference room when my father stood up and said, "My son built this entire platform from scratch. Took 5 years. But he's a genius." I froze. My hands hovered over my laptop. I was sitting right there, 10 feet away from him. The lead investor glanced at me, confused, then back at Dad. "I'm sorry," she said. "Your son?" Dad didn't even blink. "Oh, that's just Elena," he said, waving his hand like I was part of the furniture. "She helps with administrative support." My breath caught in my throat. The folder in my lap, full of commit logs, patent certificates, proof, trembled in my hands. Let me tell you how I became invisible in the company I built. My name's Elena. I'm 27 years old. And 5 years ago, I thought my father and I were building something together. I graduated with a computer science degree when I was 22. But honestly, I'd been coding since I was 14. Started with Python tutorials on YouTube, moved to Java, then got obsessed with back-end architecture and security. By the time I finished college, I wasn't just good. I was really good. So when Dad came to me with an idea, a platform that could streamline project management for small businesses, I said yes. We started in my tiny apartment. Servers humming in the corner, my desk covered in energy drink cans and tangled charging cables. Dad handled sales and investor relations. I handled everything else. Back-end development, algorithm design, UI and UX, security protocols, platform architecture, all of it. I worked 80-hour weeks, poured my savings into development costs, lived on instant ramen and cheap coffee for 3 years straight. No salary. Just the promise he kept repeating. We're in this together. I wasn't the polished, smooth-talking founder investors wanted to see. I was the one in hoodies, fixing bugs at 3 a.m, triple-checking encryption layers, optimizing database queries until my eyes blurred. But I had something no one expected. Receipts. Every single line of code, every patent application, every email, every Slack message, every GitHub commit. Documented. Has your family ever treated you like this? Share your story below. I promise I read them all, and you're not alone. The meeting that day was supposed to be our big break, a major venture capital firm. $2 million in Series A funding on the table. I'd spent 3 weeks preparing the pitch deck, built a live technical demo that could handle real-time data processing, shown in a clean dashboard interface I'd designed from scratch. Dad stood at the front of the room, clicking through my slides. "This has been my vision for 5 years," he said, gesturing to the screen. "My journey as a founder, building something that solves real problems." The investors nodded, leaning forward in their leather chairs. One of them, a guy in a navy suit, raised his hand. "The algorithm is impressive," he said. "How? Does the caching layer handle concurrent requests?" Dad laughed nervously. "Well, the boring back-end stuff." He glanced over his shoulder at me. "Elena, explain the caching layer?" Every head in the room turned to me. I opened my mouth, but before I could speak, the lead investor, a woman with sharp eyes and silver hair, interrupted. "And what's your official role here?" she asked. I straightened in my chair. Dad cut me off. "She's my daughter," he said smoothly. "Helps out with admin work, some light coding, keeps things running smoothly behind the scenes." My throat tightened. I tried to smile, but my face felt frozen. The investor nodded politely and turned back to Dad. "Impressive that you built this alone," she said. Dad smiled. "It's been a labor of love." I sat there, hands clenched in my lap, and said nothing. After the meeting, I followed him out to the parking lot. The sun was too bright. My head was pounding. "Why did you say that?" I asked. He beeped his car unlocked, didn't look at me. Say what? That I do admin work. I built 90% of that platform. He sighed like I was being difficult. Investors want a strong founder, Elena. A man with a vision. It's optics. It's business. I'm your partner. You're my daughter. He finally looked at me. When the money comes in, you'll be taken care of. You know I've got your back. Taken care of? My voice cracked. We agreed. Trust me on this, he said. Then he got in his car and drove away. I stood there in the parking lot, hands shaking, wondering how I'd let this happen. But the worst part came a week later. I got to the office early one morning around 6:30. The building was silent, just the hum of the HVAC system and my footsteps on the tile floor. I heard Dad's voice coming from his office. He was on the phone. Yeah, once funding clears, I'm restructuring, he said. She doesn't need equity. She's family. I'll pay her a salary. Keep her happy. She won't push back. I stopped walking. My stomach dropped. She's not a business threat, he continued. She's my kid. She'll do what I say. I turned around and walked straight out of the building. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, staring at the dashboard, trying to breathe. This was never a partnership. It never had been. Things got worse fast. Dad started holding executive strategy meetings that I wasn't invited to. I got removed from the investor email threads. No explanation, just suddenly locked out. Then he hired Tyler. Tyler was 24, a marketing intern with zero tech experience and a degree in communications. 3 weeks after he started, I saw his LinkedIn update. Co-founder, Chief Marketing Officer. I marched into Dad's office. Why is Tyler listed as co-founder? I asked. He's been here 3 weeks. Dad didn't even look up from his computer. He's got the right energy, he said. Charisma. Investors respond to him. I've been here 5 years, and you'll always be vital behind the scenes. He finally looked at me. But Tyler? He's got founder energy. I wanted to scream. Instead, I walked out. But it got worse. At the company holiday dinner, Dad stood up to give a toast. We were at some upscale restaurant downtown. White tablecloths and candles, a mix of our small team and potential business partners. Dad raised his glass. I want to thank the guys who built this with me, he said. Tyler, our marketing genius, and Jake in sales. Couldn't have done it without my boys. I was sitting right there, not mentioned once. The guy next to me, some business partner in an expensive suit, leaned over. So what do you do here, sweetheart? He asked. HR? Operations? Before I could answer, Tyler smirked from across the table. Elena's the boss's daughter, he said. She keeps us caffeinated. The table laughed. I forced a smile, excused myself, and locked myself in the bathroom. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, mascara starting to run, and whispered, How did I become invisible? But the final straw came 2 weeks later. Dad called me into his office and slid a thick document across his desk. New partnership agreement, he said. Lawyer said we need to formalize things for the investors. I started reading. Dense legal language, pages and pages of clauses. Then I got to page 12. I was reclassified from co-founder to technical consultant, hourly contractor. My equity stake, gone, erased. This removes me from ownership, I said, my voice shaking. It protects you from liability, Dad said calmly. If the company gets sued, you're safe. I don't want protection. I want what I built. His face hardened. After everything I've sacrificed for you, his voice rose. I gave you this opportunity. I could have hired anyone. I built the product. He stood up. And I made it worth something, he snapped. Without me, you'd be another no-name. Developer. No one takes women in tech seriously, Elena. I'm doing you a favor. I didn't sign. I walked out of his office, got in my car, and drove home. That night, I went back to the office after everyone left. I worked alone in the dark, just the glow of my monitor lighting the room, and I started copying everything. Code repositories, design files, commit logs, every Slack message, every email thread, every technical specification I'd ever written. I downloaded the patent applications I'd filed 18 months ago. Then I found something that made my heart stop. The original LLC filing from 5 years ago. Elena Hartman, 50% owner. He'd never filed updated paperwork. The restructure he kept threatening me with, it was a bluff. Legally, I still owned half the company. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen. I had power. I just had to use it. What they didn't know was that I had proof of everything. Every single code commit had my username on it. 5 years of timestamps, stretching back to when we started. I pulled up the GitHub contribution graph. 94% of the platform, built by me. The patent applications I'd filed had come back approved last month. Lead inventor, Elena Marie Hartman. Dad's name was listed as a secondary contributor, not the creator. I scrolled through our old email threads. Can you fix the login bug? He'd written 2 years ago. I need you to build the payment integration by Friday. You're a lifesaver. I don't know how this back-end stuff works. Then I found the Slack DMs. I don't understand the back-end. He'd admitted once. That's your magic. I sat there, reading message after message, feeling something harden in my chest. Then I looked up the VC firm that had been pursuing us. The lead partner was a woman named Carol Eng. I clicked on her LinkedIn. Former software engineer. Graduated top of her class from MIT. Now a venture capitalist specializing in women-led tech. Startups. Her bio said, "We invest in founders who build, not just talk." I stared at that line for a long time. Dad had been pitching to the wrong person with the wrong story. I could walk away. Let him have it. Start over somewhere else. Or I could fight for what I'd built. I thought about every 3 a.m. coding session. Every feature I'd perfected after he'd rejected it the first time. Every doubt I'd swallowed when he dismissed my ideas in meetings. I was done being invisible. I called my old professor from university, Dr. Diane Ruiz. She'd always believed in me, even when I doubted myself. "Elena," she said when she answered. "It's been too long. What's going on?" I told her everything. She was quiet for a moment. "I know someone who can help," she said. "An IP lawyer. She's brilliant. Let me connect you." 2 days later, I met Jasmine Tran at a coffee shop downtown. She was sharp, direct, and didn't waste time. I showed her everything. The commit logs, the patents, the LLC filing, the emails. She went through it all, page by page. Finally, she looked up. "Elena, this is airtight," she said. "You're the technical founder. The intellectual property is yours. If he tries to lock you out, we can freeze the entire company." "I don't want to destroy it," I said quietly. "I just want what's mine." She smiled. "Then let's make sure you get it." Meanwhile, Dad announced a Founders Gala, a black tie event, 200 guests, investor showcase. I saw the invitation mock-up on the printer. "Join us in celebrating Richard Hartman's visionary journey." My name. Nowhere. Tyler's new business cards arrived that week. Chief Technology Officer. My title in the internal directory had been changed to Administrative Associate. Dad pulled me aside one afternoon. "You're still invited to the gala," he said. "Wear something nice. Investors like seeing family support." I looked him in the eye. "I'll be there," I said quietly. He smiled, patted my shoulder, and walked away. He had no idea what was coming. The final investor meeting was scheduled for the following week. $5 million in Series A funding. 3 firms attending, including Carol Eng's. Dad briefed me the morning of the meeting. "Just sit in the back, smile, take notes," he said. "Don't speak unless I ask a direct question. We're so close, Elena. Don't mess this up." I nodded. But in my bag, printed commit logs, patent certificates, the LLC filing, and a USB drive with a new pitch deck I'd built the night before. Jasmine was on standby outside the building. I got there early and sat in the back corner. Dad didn't even acknowledge me. He was too busy schmoozing the investors as they arrived. Then Carol Eng walked in. Sharp suit. Confident stride. She scanned the room, and her eyes landed on me. She nodded politely. I nodded back. Dad started the meeting right on time. "Gentlemen and Carol, thank you for being here," he said. "5 years ago, I had a vision." He clicked through my slides, talking about his journey as a founder. He used phrases like, "when I built the authentication system," and "my innovative algorithm." The investors nodded along, but Carol looked skeptical. Halfway through the pitch, she interrupted. "Richard, I'll be direct," she said. "Our technical team reviewed your platform. The architecture is brilliant. Graduate-level computer science. Where did you study?" Dad smiled. "I have an MBA from State," he said. "Finance concentration? No engineering background? I'm a visionary," he said smoothly. "I hired the right people to execute." "Who?" Carol asked. Dad hesitated. "Contractors," he said. "An offshore team? Freelancers?" Carol's eyebrow arched. "Freelancers built a platform worth $5 million? "I directed them," Dad said. "Managed every detail." I stood up. Every head in the room turned. "That's not true," I said. The room went silent. Dad's face flashed with anger. "Elena, sit down," he said sharply. "We're in a meeting." "No," I said. "I built this." I walked to the front of the room, pulled out my laptop, and connected it to the projector. The GitHub repository appeared on the screen. "These are the commit logs," I said, my voice steady now. 5 years of development, my username, my code. 94% of this platform. I scrolled through thousands of commits. Elena Hart me 4. Over and over and over. The investors leaned forward. Dad tried to interrupt. "You worked for me?" "I worked with you," I said. "As co-founder, 50-50 equity according to the LLC filing you never updated." I slid the document across the table to Carol. She picked it up, examined it, her eyebrows rising. Then I pulled up the patent certificates. "Here are the 3 patents that protect our core technology," I said. "Approved by the USPTO 2 months ago." I projected them on the screen. Lead inventor, Elena Marie Hartman. Dad's name was listed underneath as a contributor. "Those were my ideas," Dad shouted, standing up. "Then why is your name secondary on all 3 applications?" I asked. "Why did the patent office accept my technical specifications?" Carol stood. "Mr. Hartman," she said coldly, "did you lie to us about your role?" I brought the business strategy, the vision. "You told us in 3 separate meetings that you were the technical founder," Carol said. "That's misrepresentation." She started packing her briefcase. The other investors exchanged glances and stood to leave. Dad panicked. "Wait. Carol, please." "Wait," I said. Everyone paused. I took a breath. "I like to make a different pitch," I said. "An honest one." I loaded the USB drive. My new deck appeared on the screen. "This company was built by 2 people," I said. "My father brought sales, investor relationships, business development. I brought the product. Both roles matter." I looked directly at Carol. But moving forward, I want controlling equity, 60%, CTO title, a board seat. I want my name on every document, every pitch, every patent. I paused. Or I walk, and I take the IP with me. You can't do this, Dad shouted. The door opened. Jasmine walked in. Actually, she can, Jasmine said calmly. The intellectual property is legally hers. Without Elena, you have a sales pitch and no product. Long silence. Carol sat back down. Ms. Hartman, she said. I'm listening. Start from the beginning. I took a breath. 5 years ago, my father and I started this company together. Dad slumped in his chair, face pale. For the first time, I told the true story. The investment was restructured. I got 60% equity, the official CTO title, and a board seat. Dad remained CEO, but now he reported to the board of directors. Carol's firm led the round, $4 million in Series A funding, specifically because of my technical leadership. Tyler was let go within a week. The founders' gala was canceled. Dad didn't speak to me for 3 weeks. Finally, he called. You humiliated me in front of everyone, he said. You erased me for 5 years, I replied. I just made myself visible again. I gave you this opportunity. I'm your father. And I'm the person who built what you were selling, I said. There's a difference between giving and taking credit. We could have done this quietly. I tried, I said. You handed me a contract that erased me. I hung up. We still work together. The company's doing well. I hired my own engineering team. Every single person is listed publicly on our website. The company page was updated. Elena Hartman, co-founder and CTO. First time my name has appeared anywhere official. Dad and I are civil now. Professional. Distant. He no longer controls the narrative. I'm sitting in my new office right now. My name's on the door. There's a framed patent certificate on the wall behind my desk. I look at it sometimes and think about how I spent 5 years trying to earn his respect. I thought if I just worked harder, built better, proved myself enough, he'd finally see me. Turns out, I never needed his respect. I just needed to respect myself enough to stop being silent. They can't erase you if you refuse to disappear. If you've ever been overlooked, erased, or underestimated, especially by family, I see you. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever had to fight for credit you deserved? I read every single story. Hit subscribe if you believe your work should speak for itself, but sometimes you have to speak for your work. Let me know where you're watching from. This community is full of people who've had to stand up and take what's theirs, and I want to hear from you. You're not alone in this. We don't just survive these moments, we rise from them. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.